Hello and welcome to Sports Tavern Talk. I'm your host, Elijah Loyola. We now move on to the final AFC North Division team, which is the Cleveland Browns, who boast the most amount of questions from the team's directions to the new style of head coach Todd Monken and the direction of the quarterbacks. The one bright side from Cleveland's season last year was Myles Garrett. He had a huge campaign that led him to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, with his name being etched into NFL history, notching 23 sacks, which is the most in a single season. Todd Monken definitely likes to see players like this on his defense, but his real work comes on the offensive side when it comes to the O-line, the weapons, and the quarterback situation being drafted. For now, let's take a look at the free agent market of what Cleveland did to address some of these concerns. Looking at the signings that Cleveland made, they definitely understood what they were bringing in and who they wanted to get. On the offensive side, it is mainly noteworthy that they got 3 offensive linemen to help fix the offensive line. They brought in tackle Titus Howard in a trade with the Houston Texans and signed him to a new 3-year contract extension. They also brought in guard Zaya Johnson on a 3-year contract as well, and Elton Jenkins to a 2-year contract, as this offensive line needs much needed help. As for the defense, they brought in Quincy Williams on a 2-year deal while bringing in defensive end Julian Okara and defensive tackles Kalia Davis and Sam Kamara. They're trying to beef up on both sides in the trenches and looking forward towards the draft to fill in the remaining spots. It's no wonder what the Browns' clear offensive motives were. Todd Monken wanted to fix the offensive line, and he was able to bring in these guys to do so. And that will also help fix the next situation, being the quarterbacks. A lot of mock drafts does have Cleveland getting a quarterback in Ty Simpson or somebody else. But for me, I don't think that would be the case. They already drafted 2 quarterbacks last year in Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. And it's up to Todd Monken whether or not one of these 2 will be the starter, or it will be a veteran quarterback if they bring one in for competition. Most likely, in my opinion, Shedeur Sanders will get the nod and start as QB1 next season. As for the defense, they brought in some rotations for the defensive line to help beef it up. They did bring in Quincy to help the linebackers out, and their secondary is pretty good. But they could still improve themselves even further to help stay put and stay close in a tough division. So let's take a look at the mock draft that I've set up for the Cleveland Browns coming up soon on Thursday. Looking at Cleveland's mock draft, this will be the 3rd team in this division to have double-digit picks in the draft, including 2 first-rounders. And starting in the first round, I would have them selecting Spencer Fano, an offensive tackle, and Kevin Concepcion, a wide receiver, Texas A&M. You draft a tackle to help beef the offensive line even further, and Fano might be one of the best linemen in this draft, and Concepcion gives them another strong weapon for Cleveland to use. Between the 2nd and 3rd rounds, they would draft 2 defensive players, getting Chris Johnson and Joshua Josephs to help bring some more depth and starter potential. In the later rounds then, they would draft 2 linemen in Sam Hecht and Matt Golden to beef the lineup for rotations, go for another linebacker in Bryce Botticher, a safety in Lewis Moore, and then have back-to-back picks at running back between Adam Randall and Robert Henry Jr. From this mock draft, this makes a lot of sense for Cleveland to have selections like this. In the first round, you address the tackle position, in which all the starters from last year on Cleveland's offensive line left in free agency, and you're trying to rebuild it from scratch. Fano is probably the best offensive tackle in the draft, and it'll be a great selection for Cleveland. And at pick 24, you get another weapon at wide receiver in Casey Concepcion, who can bring a lot of offensive firepower for any quarterback that's throwing to him. Not to mention, defensive help like Chris Johnson and Joshua Josephs can really bring a lot of depth and starter potential on their defense. And the selection of 2 running backs may seem odd, but with the departures to Jerome Ford and Travion Williams, they need to figure out how to get this short-handed running back room more players, and with these 2 players, both of these guys might get some starts at the running back position on offense and also help deal on special teams. But let's talk about some of these players in the first round and further on, starting off with Spencer Fano. Fano being a 6'5", 311-pound player, he is the top offensive tackle prospect in this draft with loose, fluid movement skills and relentless motor. He is also a rangy pass protector with independent hands, shows quick feet in short areas and contact balance, and has excellent efforts and strength in all situations. He also has the scheme versatility to play both tackle spots at left and right and can disrupt the pass rushers and manipulate space. Fano is the smart and only selection in my opinion for the Cleveland Browns to immediately address the tackle spots. Fixing this offensive line would be really good for them as they need to give the quarterback time and protection for plays moving on in a tough division. KC Conception being a 5'11", 190-pound prospect, he is an explosive and dynamic playmaker who emerged as one of the premier route runners and a legitimate first-round selection. He can create separation with crisp movement against man and zone coverage, has high IQ to find the soft spot in the defense, and shows a versatile skill set to open the playbook even more. Even with the wide receiver room being short-handed, this pick definitely makes a lot of sense for the Browns to take. They can have some more explosive firepower for sure, as they really did miss it, and Jerry Jeudy had some good moments, but he's not the answer for just the explosive receiver. He definitely let some people down last year and is hoping to have a rebound year in 2026. And lastly, Chris Johnson, who stands 6 foot 193 pounds. He is a scheme versatile cornerback that has emerged as one of the top prospects at his respective position. He excels in both man and zone coverage with exceptional eyes to diagnose plays, can read the quarterback's eyes to anticipate throws, and shows great production, having career highs in forced fumbles, interception, and pass defense in 2025 at San Diego State. Cleveland needs to upgrade their secondary because they face lots of offensive firepower in this division that fall no short of Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, and Michael Pittman Jr., and that's just the wide receivers. This secondary needs to tighten up and make some big plays to stop these offenses in this division if they ever hope to have a chance to at least compete with their own division. Looking at the Browns, they certainly have a lot of questions to be answered, especially with Todd Monken trying to figure out who their QB1's going to be between Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel. And as for their defense has some good players, especially with Myles Garrett leading the way and Carson Schwarzenegger, who won Defensive Rookie of the Year, leading the way through that they have a young defense they can work towards in their secondary and linebacker spots. But Todd Monken will certainly have his work cut out for him. As a team that only won 3 games last season, my expectation for the Browns is to have at least 5 or 6 wins on the season, and that way there could be questions to be thrown around that Tom Monken might have solved some issues in the Browns franchise and addressed the necessary concerns, putting themselves with great development going forward. That's all the time for today. Thank you so much for watching Sports Tavern Talk. Please make sure to leave a like and comment on the video with your thoughts, and make sure to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And keep an eye out for your team's final mock draft coming up soon before the NFL draft. And as always, I will see you next time.